With shadow work, it just, like, if we think of a shadow as in it's maybe behind us, it's like putting it behind us, or when we walk it's always there hanging around, it's part of us. So shadow work is something that's part of us that we may not want to look at, and we don't want to put the light on it, we don't want to see it, or something we're fearful of or afraid of. Shadow work is very much about those issues that we might have gone through, or something we might want to keep secret, or something that the family's kept secret, or something that we are not ready to address yet, or that other part of ourselves that, you know, we might feel ashamed of, or whatever it is, or something we just want to put aside, that we don't want to see ourselves as that victim or something. So that shadow self is that stuff we don't bring into the light in front of everybody. So something we keep to ourselves, that privacy sort of thing. So that's the shadow work. And shadow work connected to families, connected to ourselves, you know, that's part of who we are. And we need to have that contrast. We have to, as part of being human, how we learn. So working in the shadow work, working to deal with it, you know, having that knowledge of, you know, what is my shadow self. But when you work with that, it helps you then to move forward. Now, what you had said about, you know, just by knowing something, does that help to clear it? Does that help to heal it? Does that sort of, you know, help in that way? My findings is that if you are doing the personal work on it, meaning you're aware there's something that's keeping you stuck, knowing that actually if you are, I don't know, seeing a therapist or a counsellor or a coach, or you're working through it, whatever the issue is, that's called doing the work. Whether you're journaling it, whether you're bringing it out and sort of like communicating through your journal, as in what's happened to you, how you felt about an individual, that's dealing with, that's working with it. And we've got to remember, you know, it's not that we give thanks to that individual person, sort of say, you know, I thank them for treating me that horrible. You know, I might say that about my abusive stepdad, or, you know, that's not about saying, well, thank you for abusing me. It's not about that. It's more about that, the experience that you've gone through, and by working through the experience and knowing what's come to light, and it's forgiving that individual. Now again, it's not forgiving them sort of in the sense of, oh, I forgive my stepfather for doing that. It's not that. If you hold on to it, it becomes more of that darker shadow stuff, you know, that it doesn't do you any good. For me, I've had to forgive quite a few individuals going back, because that was the only way that I could move forward, is to let go of it, because it will weigh you down like an anchor. So it's more about, I forgive that individual at that particular time. Maybe they didn't know any different, or maybe they did, but I'm not part of that journey. I don't want to be part of that. I want to grow and learn from that. I know from all my experiences, it's made me a better person. I know that I can serve others. I can put myself in somebody else's shoes from some of the experiences I've had. And so I take it more as I've turned it around. I've turned it around, spun it around, and like, well, what have I learned from this? As a child, I felt dirty. There was lots of, you know, clients I see who've been, you know, had child abuse, and how they feel in themselves, or if you've had a toxic relationship as an adult. It's just looking at it from a different perspective. So it's not that you have to have that conversation. I can't have a conversation with my ex and sort of say, thank you for being so horrible to me, because that's not going to help anyone, and he's not learned anything from that. But it's like, I give thanks for the lessons I learnt in that relationship about myself. And I also knew that I was taking part of it. I was, you know, it takes two people to have a relationship. So if you allow someone to treat you that way, they're going to continue that way. So I had to step up and go, right, I don't want to be treated like this anymore. But I had to find that in myself. I had to look at how worthy or how much I thought about myself. I had to do that personal development on myself. So if someone's going through something and they've got an issue with a family member, or, you know, a partner, it's like, if they aren't going, you can't address it necessarily with them all the time. It's that yourself, what is it you're allowing to happen? Because you have to take responsibility for it. So you don't necessarily have to speak to the individual person, especially if they're not on the same wavelength as you and they don't have that enlightenment. It's more about yourself sitting with it. What was it that I learned from the experience? What is it showing me? What's coming up for me? How do I feel about them? How do I feel about myself with them? And then you can look at other people. It might be, you know, this is why soul pods come in, our family members. You might want to look at the relationship you have with other individuals around you. What is it showing you? For me personally, you know, there's been a big thing about boundaries, but I know when I have some clients, people pleasers, again, when I look at what's going on in their life, why are they a people pleaser? You know, it's how they feel that lack of self-esteem. There's many reasons. So it's looking at the relationships, or the relationship with an individual that you're not happy with, or something that's come up for you, and you do that personal work. You don't have to necessarily engage with them, because again, how they are interpreting the world, how they've interpreted the issue, may be something totally different from how you've interpreted the issue. So it's like, you can't do the work for them, you can't change them, you can only look at yourself, feel into it, what's coming up for you, and then you addressing it, and then realizing it, and then that lets go of the energy. You sort of send off a letter to them. That's a technique. You can send a letter, write a letter to them. You know, being, you know, what you have learned about yourself within that relationship, or, you know, family member or friend or partnership, what you have learned about yourself, then you can burn it and let go of it. It doesn't need to be sent to them, because they may not have that awareness of themselves. They may not be at that place right now. So it's just letting things go for yourself. Does that make sense? Good. Lovely. You're welcome.